This is it, ladies and gentlemen. The fight of the century between the two heavyweight champions. And the fighters are ready. So for the two of you in attendance and the thousands watching online, introducing out of the red corner, we have the brand new fighter wearing white with triple fans and 4,096 cores, weighing in at 2 pounds 9 ounces, the Polar Pixel Smasher, the White Radeon Rager, the Ivory Overclocker, Andy's RX 9070 XT. Then in the green corner, wearing black with triple fans and 6,144 cores, weighing in at 2 pounds 10 ounces, the Midnight Cuda Crusher, the Onyx Render King, the Ray Tracing Ravager, Nvidia's RTX 5070 Ti. Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. AMD's brand new RX 9070 XT is officially here, and they sent over one of the cards for me to test out, so thanks for that. Though of course, that won't affect my review. Either way, I thought I'd put it up against Nvidia's RTX 5070 Ti, as well as their 5070 non-Ti, plus the 7900 XTX and XT. So we've got quite a few things to cover along the way. Oh, and if you're interested in picking one up, I'll have some affiliate links down in the description below. It doesn't cost you anything more, and it helps the channel out. So starting things off, like I said after CES, neither of the 9070 cards come with a reference design. The model AMD sent over is the ASRock 9070 XT Steel Legend, and I have to say that it looks really nice. The card comes with an all-white triple fan design with RGB through the fans and across the top with the logo. If you're not into RGB, there's a switch at the top next to the ARGB header for turning it on or off. When it comes to display out, this model has 3 DisplayPort 2.1a ports and 1 HDMI 2.1b port. Moving to the back, there's a nice metal backplate with a cutout for pass-through air. Finally, it comes with dual 8-pin power connectors, so there's no need to worry about your GPU melting. Words I never thought I'd have to say. Overall, it looks really cool. So nice that I'm actually thinking about doing an all-white build. I've never done one before, but it just looks that good. So quickly go back over specs, the RX 9070 XT comes with 64 compute units, 16GB of GDDR6 VRAM across a 128-bit bus, and because this isn't an overclock model, it comes with the reference 2400 MHz game clock and 2970 MHz boost clock. Now, that 64 compute units might make you a little worried given the 7900 GRE comes with a whopping 80, but don't forget that there's been a pretty major architectural overhaul with RDNA 4, so each compute unit is quite a bit faster than RDNA 3 in rasterization, and an even bigger difference in ray tracing, making the comparison essentially pointless. And of course, comparing the specs between Nvidia and AMD is even more pointless, so the best way to do it is just to test the performance and find out, which is exactly what I did. But before I get to that, I've got to show you these sweet earpads I got that make my headphones look straight up awesome. They're called Wicked Cushions, and while they did sponsor today's video, they're seriously game-changing. As you can see, I went with the retro 90s look, but don't worry because they have a ton of different styles and options, from multiple camos to this racing look, and they even have headbands so you can deck out your headphones even more. And what's great is that for my headset, they're magnetic, so you can switch them out in seconds, which means you can quickly swap them out or mix and match that, or if you just need to replace an old worn out pair, these are perfect. This one is a hybrid fabric that's infused with cooling gel, so they feel great, but they're also clearly built to last, which is why they offer a full year, no questions asked refund policy. So you've got nothing to lose. Basically, when you're ready to stand out from the crowd, check out Wicked Cushions down in the description below. Now, back to the story, let's talk about that performance. Starting with the rasterization, here, compared to last gen, AMD's new 9070 XT sits between the 7900 XT and XTX, which of course is what most of the leaks seem to suggest. You can see in just about every game tested, the 9070 XT beats out the 7900 XT, but fell short of the 7900 XTX. With that said, there are a couple games that even the 7900 XT beat AMD's new GPU in, and that's F1 2023 and Dirt 5. I asked AMD about F1 and they assumed that the game engine must prefer more cores over architectural improvements or clock speed. Either way, overall the 9070 XT is in between those two cards. And this brings me to the 5070 Ti and 5070. Here, the 9070 XT beats out the 5070 and everything by quite a bit in 1440p, though it also loses to the 5070 Ti and everything I threw at it. With that said, it's closer to the 5070 Ti than the 5070. And when we move to 4K, things get even better for AMD's new card, with the GPU taking a further gap between it and the 5070, and even essentially tying the 5070 Ti in Far Cry 6 and Cyberpunk 2077. But of course, that's just rasterization. And this brings me to ray tracing. Here, AMD touted a pretty massive boost to ray tracing performance for their RDNA 4 architecture, and I'm pleased to say that they absolutely delivered. The 9070 XT is very clearly faster at ray tracing, so much so that very demanding ray trace titles like path tracing on Cyberpunk 2077 or full ray tracing on Black Myth Wukong, the 9070 XT ended up not only beating the 7900 XT, but it also overtook the 7900 XTX. Now, in titles that don't use a lot of ray tracing, the 7900 XTX was still faster, but the 9070 XT took some ground on it, even getting close in F1 2023. With all of that said, while AMD is definitely getting better in ray tracing, unfortunately they still haven't completely caught up with Nvidia. When comparing it to the 5070 non-Ti, the 9070 XT was definitely still faster in most games. But in the more demanding ray tracing titles like Black Myth Wukong with full ray tracing and Cyberpunk 2077 path tracing, the 5070 actually came back and overtook it. Now, as you can see, they're so demanding that neither GPU can play without upscaling at 1440p, but even when you turn on upscaling, Nvidia's card still wins out. Though the less a game utilizes ray tracing, the smaller that lead is. So what does all of this mean? Well, AMD's 9070 XT is $600, which is a very nice $150 price drop from the 5070 Ti, but $50 more than the 5070. That means the 5070 Ti is a whopping 25% more than the 9070 XT. And in rasterization, looking at the geometric mean, the 5070 Ti is just 7% faster than the 9070 XT at 4K, and 10.7% faster at 1440p. So if you're not big on ray tracing, the 9070 XT is definitely a great buy. But if you see yourself playing games with path tracing turned on, the 5070 or 5070 Ti starts to look pretty nice. So there is a case to be made depending on what you play. Plus, don't forget that Nvidia still has DLSS 4 up their sleeve. Of course, AMD now has ML-based upscaling with FSR 4, but they don't have anything to compete with multi-frame generation. So if that is important to you and you don't care about any added latency or any of the issues with it, it could be the tipping point to lean Nvidia. All in all though, AMD's new 9070 XT is a very nice release. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. And don't forget to check out Wicked Cushions in the description below. And as always, have a great day.